Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and what we learned from Elon Musk being on SNL about how we use grids and miniatures, maps and miniatures. So basically, when I watched, I'll tell you right now, if you're a dungeon master, you very much need to go watch Elon Musk on SNL. And the reason why is, as a dungeon master, you need to understand celebrity. Why do you need to understand celebrity? Because your nobles and your bards are gonna, and your paladins and your clerics are all, and actually every single player character has the possibility of having celebrity in your Dungeons and Dragons game. So you need to understand how celebrity interacts with power. And never in my life have I seen anything that demonstrates how the reciprocal pull between celebrity and power than Elon Musk on SNL. It is a historical moment in American history, and every dungeon master needs to see it to understand the reciprocal relationship between celebrity and power. One of the things it was Elon Musk on SNL was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in my entire life. It was, and I knew it was going to be strange when it was booked, and I was like, this is going to be odd. But the reality is, there's just no two ways about it that not only was it indeed odd, but there's just so much to learn from Dungeons & Dragons. So the biggest example of forced context I've ever seen was Elon Musk's monologue. It was really strange. When I watched it, it seemed to me that what might be happening was that Elon Musk said a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of sentences, and I would say like 65% of those sentences were just pure facts. They weren't jokes in any way. But I think the SNL writers and Elon Musk himself were expecting people to laugh at these statements, these facts, which frankly, I think there were multiple facts just said straight in and actually Elon Musk even made a joke that he really couldn't put comedic inflection on things, right? That he as a person doesn't have that ability, right? Which I think he was right. Like, it was the most unfunny monologue I've ever seen. In fact, I just kind of gaped at it in awe and didn't laugh once, right? So, and basically, he was saying that this is the SNL monologue. You will laugh because of that, right? It was forced context, right? And I think the SNL writers were hoping that forced context would make people laugh at something that was remotely unfunny, and actually went even beyond being unfunny to like facts that were not funny but like frightening, right? Like, and were 100% true. Multiple statements within what he was saying were 100% true, not funny in any way, and would be alarming to any American, right? Like, to me, like, easily a large number, like the majority of the statements he made, I think, were just facts said to be read as jokes because they were in the SNL monologue, not because they were funny. Now, what does this have to do with our Dungeons & Dragons games? Well, it's the maps and the miniatures. The maps and the miniatures, if you don't fix this problem, become forced context in your game. If you bring out the maps and the miniatures when it's time for combat, then that means that the maps and miniatures will lead your characters into content. It will often lead your characters into combat when it's not intended for players who are not incredibly savvy, right? Now, I didn't laugh when jokes were put in front of me in SNL as forced context, and that's because I'm a savvy cultural experiencer, right? But I think non-savvy players will definitely just get into combat whenever you put the maps and miniatures on the board, unless you do the following thing. You must put down maps and miniatures in 1/3 of the situations you never expect combat to occur. If you don't do that at a rate of 1/3 or more, you will definitely teach your players that maps and miniatures require combat from them. It's incredibly, it's strong, and it's forced context. And frankly, I don't think it was great in SNL, and I don't think forced context is great in your Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Pay attention. Don't use forced context, right? SNL shouldn't have used it. You as a dungeon master, you shouldn't use it. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.